Namaste. Namaste, sir.
Namaste. Today we have sharing of Dasho Pema Thinley. So, and he has also joined. So I will request Rajul Bhaiya to kindly introduce him.
Namaste, namaste. Welcome, Dasho. Namaste, Ganeshi.
Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste, Sabiko.
Namaste.
I'm happy to introduce Dasho Pema Thinley. Dasho is a title that is one of the highest civilian orders that is given in Bhutan, just like our Padma Shri in India. Dasho has been in education all along. Originally from Trashigang district in the east of Bhutan. He studied education and he was always in education in his career. First as a teacher, then as a principal of Sherabji College, then later on as a director. And he was the Secretary of Education in the Royal Government of Bhutan. And then the first university that was formed in Bhutan, the Royal University of Bhutan, he was the founder, Vice Chancellor, second Vice Chancellor, I think, not founder, second Vice Chancellor of that university. He served 2 terms there. And education is in his, mind always, how to, what kind of education we can have so that we can materialize this gross national happiness. He has been a searcher. He has been a student of his root guru, and very sincerely he has been searching for this, how education can be so that it can be for the well-being of all. Even now he is advising this Bhutan Institute of Well-being, and the way that is forming, the way that is coming out is so wonderful to see. So welcome, Dasho. Certainly like to hear your journey, and particularly on this exercise 1 and 2. So welcome.
Good morning, everyone in the session. Thank you very much, Rajulji, for this introduction. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I joined the morning sessions from August, 1st of August last year. And we went through a number of things apart from exercise 1 and 2. We went through UHV 2. We went through the presentations of various persons in their engagement as they are using, grounding their work on UHV. We have also listened to sharing of personal transformations of people like we are doing today now in this series. We have also been able to and listen to Ganeshji's explanations and expositions to deeper and fundamental issues. The impact of all these experiences on my own self-development has been quite profound in many ways and revealing. Although I know it is just baby steps. just out of all this, of course, exercise number 1 and 2 has been most engaging. During this period, I have gone through 3 repeated sessions of exercise 1 and 2. And I found that each time, not only I was changing, but also how Ganeshji presented was also changing. Only in the third time, this time, I'm beginning to understand a little more profoundly about what is happening and what it all involves. For example, thoughts, desires, and expectations we have been always talking all through and through. But I just realized that what I had thought was my desires was really the expectations, only this time. And my desires have to be the natural feelings coming out of natural acceptances, like relationship, harmony, and coexistence. That way, if I just talk a little bit about my experiences of exercise number 1, I think it is very, it has been profoundly important for me to be able to look at my own imaginations, observe my imaginations, and trying to see the feelings which fuel my thoughts, which start the whole process of imagination. Beginning, I thought all these 7 steps are mechanical, rather cumbersome and difficult. But now I'm beginning to see that it's becoming much natural. In fact, in this exercise 1, I now see that step number 1 is, of course, the most important one, where I'm trying to be aware each moment, and I'm far from it. I can almost see that I'm jumping from step number 1 to step number 7. Step number 7 is almost the reflection of detailing of step number 2 to see whether this is the feelings that I have are coming from natural acceptance. And in fact, that is what is explained in step number 7 to ensure that my feelings are in line with natural acceptance, that is to be in relationship, harmony, and coexistence. I think in exercise number 1, step number 4 has been very important and significant for me, which I will explain a bit later on. But if I now turn to exercise 2, I am and the body is as 2 different entities. And to be able to see that way has been most powerful. Even in this, I think step number 4 of exercise number 2, where I am at a distance from my sensations. I'm not the sensation. I'm not in the sensation. Has been also most powerful. If I now start with my sort of the impacts that I felt and start with exercise number 2, where I see I am and the body is, and I see that these two realities as distinct. They are at a distance coexisting and not hardwired, has been, I think, most revealing for me. The impacts from this I felt are my notion of death and the anxiety got much more softened. I know the self is on a journey of self-development, and the body can be used to support the development. And this is a whole perspective shift for me. Through this, I could see self-development is about transforming my acceptances, what I have accepted to be true, which determine my thought and expectations, which is what we call sanskar, based on our assumptions. And I see that when we talk about the body and the self, for the self, there is nowhere to go in the journey of self-development, but to be. I just am placing this one so that I could check with people who have journeyed on this path. I see that we have to realize it through right understanding. I think on this journey, now turning on to exercise number 1 of self-development, we talked about the homes of the self, which we build in the context of the worldviews that we hold at different stages of our development. Was very meaningful. I think it was revealing. Ganeshji drew our attention to the 4 bodies, the gross body, where I think I am the body, and the subtle body of these mixed emotions, imaginations, thinking, expectations, and the causal body, which is consisting of the acceptances that I have at this moment, with some influence from natural acceptance. And then, of course, the pure self. I think this has been very revealing and meaningful for me. Also, I found that step number 6 of exercise 1, where I can be in relationship, harmony, and coexistence by my choice. And in step number 7, I can ensure to do that while my understanding is developing, has been also revealing for me. Through this journey, I also found the concept of happiness becoming much more clearer as we use it. Only some time ago, I realized that the excitement which we always thought is happiness, in which I thought was happiness in many ways, and which I slip into now and then, even now. Excitement, both positive and negative, are not natural by the fact that it is excitement. And our nature, what is natural to us is peace and harmony, which is natural. And I also drew greater meaning that excitement actually comes from outside and peace and harmony comes from within. And also, I'm just, at least literally, and I see glimpses of it now and then, that the nature of pure self is to be in relationship, in harmony and coexistence. Being aware of myself, my imagination, and being aware of the pure self has to be a continuous process, and I will continue that process. We'll have to continue that process. The other things that happened during this morning sessions now, the sharings of the changes that people see in their lives has been quite impactful for me by other people in this group. I have this problem, I realize now, that I have difficulty of seeing changes in myself. UHP has been revealing for me because I could see changes that's happening in others. But I have difficulty seeing changes in me. So confirming changes as other people report of what is happening to them has been inspiring and revealing for me also. That is, I can only see the changes that may be happening in me through the changes that I see is happening in others. Say, for example, and these are moments when I have momentary goosebumps. Moments like the feeling where somebody or a number of people where they explain the feeling of freedom that they have out of the web that one creates oneself as homes. People expressing of sudden feel of peace and harmony within themselves, this experience also has been revealing. Being an observer at the distance of what is happening within myself are other examples of these revelations. And like this, the breakthroughs and the transformations that people report in these morning sessions also indicate to me the possible changes that is happening in me. The fact that I'm able to see that and connect with that one is an indication of the change that may be happening to me. So this sharings has been most also profound. The other thing that has been most impactful for me is the in-depth explorations that we have been able to do, and explanations that Ganeshji has been able to offer and take us into the traditions or darshans of religious traditions that we have. I felt a sense of relief that all this is, all that there is within all these traditions is most unifying. Say, for example, parallelly, I am also engaged in Vajrayana practice of the 3 month, no, 3 year, 3 months, 3 days practice. I could see the convergence of what we are doing in these morning sessions through UHV and the practice that I'm doing. And both of them converged into observing oneself and being in our natural state. So it confirmed that UHV is a good, very good support for any spiritual journey through our traditions that we might do. And for me, definitely, this has been very true. As Levi Lungten was saying the other day, my engagement in UHV and particularly these morning sessions have given me the greatest support on the traditional practice that I'm doing and what I'm trying to understand. Now I think just few personal transformations. I don't see changes in myself. It's very difficult for me. But then just recently during this exercises, I think it happened. I was talking about step number 4 of exercise number 1, where we say that I am responsible for my own feelings. And therefore, I'm responsible for my happiness or unhappiness. Because of this and the understanding of this little bit, I think I dropped off all the many of the irritations that came from the behavior of other persons. Say, for example, I just saw that I'm just living in the Bhutan Institute of Wellbeing with my wife, just two of us. And I just noticed that the interactions between us has become much gentler. And I could notice this for the last 1 or 2 months. And I could see through this that I had been quite reactive. While I might not have expressed it outside, these reactions happened within me. And that was the cause of all irritations. And suddenly it became gentler. And as I don't get irritated and react, then of course the behavior of the other person also becomes gentler. And I can see this happening. I can also see that the irritations that I used to have in interactions with other people, where I expected other people to fit in my preconditionings, has also been dropped off. So my interactions, I see is becoming much harmonious. With this one, I think if I just say, like my commitments, of course, as I said, observing myself and being aware every moment of my life is going to be a continual effort. And I think I feel so fortunate that I have been connected to this group. In the morning sessions with Kaneshji and the whole team is such a fortune for me. And I'd like to thank everybody in the group. I thank myself for having the merit to be in the group. I think now that as we develop within ourselves, our participation outside in the larger order is just a natural outcome. I feel so fortunate that I have been asked to come and help in the Bhutan Institute of Wellbeing, and my work with the Bhutan Institute of Wellbeing in whatever form will continue, and I'll remain connected. Here is where one's passion, what I need to do, what I understand I have to do in this life, is in line with the work that I'm called on to do. So it is what I'm doing here is not really the work. It's just following my passion. It becomes such a pleasure. So this will continue. Eventually, of course, like Kaneshji keep on repeating, this has to get into the mainstream education, and I can see that it is such. This is very, very important. But to get there, we have to be able to show what can happen. And an institute like Bhutan Institute of Wellbeing can only show samples of what could happen, hoping that the mainstream will take it over. When I say this one, I think for me, teaching and interacting with others, sharing this with others is so important, because that allows me to develop my own self. These are complementary. As we share, as we teach, it helps me to have clarity within myself, in my self-exploration. I see now the work, and I suppose this can be for anybody, anything that they do, to see how they can apply what we are doing to real issues in life. It's a big experiment. I see the work that we are doing at the Bhutan Institute of Wellbeing is a big experiment. That is such a pleasure to be involved in it. And it has allowed me to develop myself. Say, for example, we have started now integrating these 2 exercises into the treatment program of our substance use disorder persons. And it seemed to make sense, but we are doing it. This is an experiment. We have to see how best we can use this to communicate, to allow people to understand themselves. So with this, I'd like to, I've been talking almost 25 minutes. I'd like to stop here and call for any clarifications that people might have. Thank you very much. And thank you, the whole team. I feel so grateful.
Dasho ji, it was wonderful sharing. I would request or ask if somebody would like to ask something from Dasho ji. We have Parasha ji. Namaste, Parasha ji. We have Shivdasan ji also.
Dasho, good morning. Professor Parasha this side. Hello.
Good morning, Professor Prashad.
Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, Dasho?
Yes, I can hear very much. Yes.
There are 2 small things, which if you can very kindly, I mean, as a point of doubt or whatever you call information. One is there was a reference of your stepping, jumping from step 1 to step 7. I mean, what exactly I would like to know, what do we infer from this? That is number 1. Number 2, there was a passing reference of some practice that you are following for the last maybe 3 months or 3 days. What exactly was this? Some practice you made a mention of. So these 2 things. Have I made myself clear, Dasho ji?
Yes. Clear. Thank you. Exercise number 1, step number 1, where we are observing ourselves, our imagination. And of course, when you go to step number 2, we are just seeing whether this is naturally acceptable to us. And what is naturally acceptable to us is, of course, relationship harmony, and coexistence, which we have to ensure in number 7. That is what I was saying, that you can almost jump from step number 1 in reference to step number 2, then you are jumping to step number 7. You just have to ensure, and it needs some effort when you have to ensure that. It needs quite a great deal of effort, but that is something that can be done.
Okay.
But
Okay.
this comes only when you understand the whole process.
Okay.
That I can see. This was what I was meaning. And the practice that I was doing, which converged as we were doing these exercises of observing myself, is the Vajrayana practice of, we call it 3 years, 3 months, 3 days in total isolation. But I think this has been made easier for some of us who are engaged otherwise in the worldly life, is to do it in 10 years by devoting 2 hours per day, every day. And I'm into the 9 months. So that is what I was saying, that there is, at the end of it, ultimately, it is about observing ourselves, being aware of ourselves every moment. I hope that is clear. I hope that clarifies your query.
What is this practice you made a mention of? Vasrana, is it so? Vasrana. How do you
This is the
spell it?
Buddhist Vajrayana practice that we do it in the
Okay.
Himalayas, Tibetan region.
Vajrayana.
Yeah. Vajrayana, yes.
Is it a part of Buddhism, or is it
Yes, it's Buddhism. It's Buddhism,
right?
definitely. The Himalayan Tibetan Buddhism.
Okay. Thank you, Dasho. Thank you.
We have Shivdasan ji. Namaste, Shivdasan ji.
Pranam sabhi ko. Namaste. Namaste. Pranam Guruji, and hi to brother Dasho. I must believe that Dasho is a monk. If I'm wrong, I may be corrected. No, it is great, and so happy that moments are on to integrate exercise 1 and exercise 2. I have 2-3 things to share with you, and 2-3 things to get clarification from you. I'm happy if I don't drop any points. The sharing with you is that the happiness to share with you is that as you said, all the traditions unifies over the exercise 1 and 2, knowing the self. And you people are the promoters or ambassadors of well-being. It is the bringing the self, it is natural state. I think it is wonderful that bringing our self to its natural state. We end up in well-being, and it is also, with a lot of happiness, we understand that UHP is one affordable personal vehicle to reach at our natural state. Now, the thing which I wanted to seek clarification, one, I put in because time is the constraint here. I put in a bullet form. Number 1 is being well-being promoters. Your moment is curing the problems, or curing the menace, or bringing harmony, peace, and happiness in a person, is all due to all through self, or all the body problems are you solving, try to solve all human body problem or suffering through self. That is one thing. Is that what you are doing at Wellbeing Institute? And the second thing I wanted clarification from you, I seek clarification from you, is that I really wanted to know I really look for a comment from you. Where do you place peace in this process? We have happiness, we have everything. I mean, we have a Nobel Prize for peace, and nobody give any prize. There is no Nobel Prize for happiness. Fine, we don't insist on that. But is it because that the happiness is abstract? We can't quantify it, and peace is measurable, is quantifiable. Is that the reason that no, there is a prize for a Nobel Prize for peace, but not for happiness? And of course, there are a lot of other things, I wanted to know from you, but let me listen to this. And if